obviously the surveys, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's a very, very interesting survey, a global survey, but a lot of relevance obviously to the region as well. So the survey was really about the collaboration gap between SecOps and ITOps. And I think one of the things, there's no secret, obviously in this region specifically, we have the same challenges. It's pretty clear that obviously cybersecurity has now not only made its way into IT operations, but into the boardroom. And this creates a risk, but obviously an opportunity. I think we see the size of the cybersecurity market in Middle East growing to almost 30 billion by 2025, which is only almost double from 2020. So significant growth in the cybersecurity space. Obviously, some of the things that have increased that is the adoption of sort of things like remote working and cloud technologies. And we see this, by the way, all the time. Every day I'm speaking to customers. The interesting thing is not only is it in the boardroom, but the effect on businesses is literally almost double, not quite, but almost double of every other region. So each sort of a company that gets hit in the region is about 6.5 million, just over $6.5 million average loss suffered, whereas globally it's only 3.86 million. So yeah, probably not great news for us, but it's the reality of the situation. I think in terms of the UAE, up 2020, there was only 38% of companies hit. Now it's 59%. And I can confirm that when we speak to a lot of people. I think we all saw the news on Saturday and retail companies getting hit. So, it's big and it is real. And when I talk to customers nowadays, it's not a case of if you're going to get hit, it's more like when you're going to get hit and, what are you doing? So, it's big. But the purpose of the survey was, first of all, should IT operations and security operations really share this responsibility? Which is the case. How are those teams collaborating, and what are the challenges in terms of collaboration, and how might this collaboration impact things like security, business, even careers, and then how's the talent shortage globally really affecting this collaboration, and how will it play into this, and then is it getting worse, and do they believe how they've been impacted by this. So the survey was over 2,000 people, so pretty significant, of which 1,000 in the US, 500 in UK, and then 500 in kind of APAC region. Majority were both not only IT decision makers, but SecOps, which is a pretty balanced approach across both of them. So first question, probably the easiest question to ask is, are cyber threats getting worse? Almost just over 2/3 saying absolutely, getting much worse. And I guess the scary part is almost half say that they've been affected in the last 6 months, and I think I already mentioned that already. So then when we asked them how many of them believe that this shared responsibility should be happening between IT and SecOps, over 80%, so significantly more. I think slightly more in IT ops believe so than security ops, but really nothing to talk about that. I think the scary part is how many of them actually believe they are collaborating well, and up to 22% of them say that it's not the case. I genuinely believe that this will improve over time, but right now that is probably something that could be much better. And another scary figure is 78%. So the talent shortage is affecting or impacting collaboration between that. So yeah, it is far from ideal. I think what scares them the most is really, what happens when they get hit. So, when you look at 42% are concerned about data loss, and really the same amounts fear business disruption. Those numbers are significant, and we see that, by the way. We see it all the time. Like we spoke about what's happening in the region. So big numbers and what's happening and how it's affecting it. So when we ask them, what would be the biggest barrier to getting up and running after a cyber attack, 41% of them, so almost half of them cited integration between the two teams as a potential barrier, and 38% said the lack of coordination between the two teams certainly would be another barrier to get up and running as well. So when you ask them how they prioritize backup, which is obviously pretty dear to us, and it's scary when we ask them if they prioritize, what percentage of them as part of their security posture. As you would expect, by the way, only 38% of SecOps teams prioritize backups, and 54% of the IT ops, which is probably storage and backup teams, say that even that's a pretty low number in my humble opinion. So they said it was a priority. So if these guys are not taking sort of backup and recovery and next gen data management a part of the overall strategy, then that's a big problem. So they need to collaborate before the attacks take place. Look holistically at things like how can you identify, protect, respond, and then recover. And then if you really wait to collaborate until the data is hijacked, that's too late, as we say. And by the time they've been in your environment, and you find out they've probably been there for weeks and if not months already. So definitely too late. So
when it comes to collaboration between ITOps and SecOps, you said there is a lack of collaboration between both the teams, and that is creating a sort of issues when it comes to policies in place. What sort of challenges are there when it comes to collaboration between these two teams? Are there any specific reasons for this?
Yeah, I think for sure. The reasons are, first of all, what are the reasons, and how can they increase the collaboration, right? Between these two teams. So first of all is, how do they improve that, right? So first of all, it's they should co-own resilience outcomes. So, what are the RPO, RTOs? So they're not doing this currently. So they're not sitting down and going, guys, what are our RTOs, RPOs? So they need to sit down and make sure that they get that right. Certainly separate budgets today. Everyone's got a security budget and an IT operations budget. So get those budgets aligned and make sure that security and IT ops align those budgets and get a good balance of, who's got control and protection, proactive protection controls. I think not understanding what type of data they have in their environment, where does the data sit, data fragmentation, obviously there's a big challenge. So really sitting down and understanding what data they have, what systems they have, where are they located, and how mature is the data visibility. I think this is a big thing. Data fragmentation has caused this problem. So data sitting everywhere. So the guys need to sit down and make sure on the surface is like, how are we going to address this? And what happens when you get hit? There's got to be better, because at the moment it's a very reactive thing. What happens when we get hit, and then there's kind of finger pointing. So sit down, get this coordination, and do the drills. Tabletop exercises, proactively. Practice these things. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yes, there's a question. I mean, it's a question which is on everyone's mind, that there are a lot of these geopolitical situations right now. Not just between borders, but between various countries as well. So when it comes to these tensions, which are geopolitical in nature, do you think cyber threats will evolve over the next, months or the next year?
Yeah, I think, for sure, they will evolve, definitely. And I think because of how they're going to evolve, it will be crucial for businesses to be able to recover quickly from the backups. And because of this, it's even more important that IT operations and security operations work closer together. I've already explained how they do that. And more importantly, because it will evolve significantly, is making sure that there's the right tools in place to be able to protect. So first of all, not only because of the lack of collaboration, but because of the lack of collaboration, security have all these tools, IT operations have too many tools. So really, consolidating all these vendors, getting a better visibility of the data wherever it sits, solving mass data fragmentation. So using a product like Cohesity Helios to give you a single pane of glass, irrelevant of the location of the data. So really allowing organizations to holistically look at where this data is, and then to focus on, proactive detection. How quickly can you respond and recover? So Cohesity threat defense architecture, is the data immutable? Is it locked? In terms of the data, not only that, is how do people access the data? So do you support multi-factor authentication? Do you support quorum? So how do you access the data, and how do you protect the data proactively using Cohesity Helios, give you a single pane of glass, and then using AI and machine learning to proactively detect anomalies?
There's a lot of skill gaps when it comes to various positions in the industry, especially with cybersecurity, like certification and stuff like that, which is not very it's very challenging when it comes to getting the right talent for that particular position. So since you mentioned that there is a poor collaboration between security and IT, is the skills gap getting is the gap getting wide because of this?
The fact that these people are not collaborating will widen this gap, and so this lack of collaboration is absolutely not perfect. And yes, the tech talent is certainly making it much worse. And when we asked them, 78% of them, which again is very high, both IT decision makers and SecOps said for sure it's having a major impact on this. And I think importantly, because of this, organizations, both not only in the operations but also in the boardroom, they should really be looking at ways to simplify, right? So to do more with less. Not only is this obviously the skills gap, but tightening of the budgets. Majority of respondents also agreed that their budgets have been cut. So how do you take your infrastructure costs and reduce that? And that's really where Cohesity comes into it, and that's our strength, right? So first of all, using a next generation data platform like Cohesity, so eliminating these vendors, consolidating, helps you obviously be able to do more with less people, and that will solve your skills gap shortage, and eliminating all these silos of data, again being able to do more with less, and then having the ability to manage this all through a single GUI interface like Cohesity Helios. And then also holistically, so proactively being able to prevent this, because obviously it's easier to prevent than to recover from an attack. So it's much easier to have, if you've got the right tools in place. Prevention's obviously better than cure, and we see this all the time, by the way. And we have multiple cases going on at the moment where people are trying to recover. Just the amount of people you need, so for sure. And how quickly can you recover? So this is again using our AI and machine learning tool called Helios, or AI powered, across all the workloads. Significantly helps the skills gap, and people who have less people on-prem but using our product, they can sleep well at night knowing that our threat defense architecture proactively helps them prevent this. So, again, cost, complexity, and risk are major challenges, and we help them with all three of those.
In terms of ransomware attacks, do you see that increasing? Because I've seen a lot of reports being generated where ransomware is the type of attack that many threat actors are using towards companies and organizations. Do you see that increasing over the period of time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to evolve. The majority of people that we surveyed, and it will come in different forms. We really speak about the three generations of ransomware. The first generation is they lock your production data, right? And we were pretty relaxed about that because we had backups. The second generation of ransomware was, the bad actors were then taken to our backups, and that's they locked the backups and they had the keys, and then they demanded the ransomware. And the third generation of ransomware is the scariest one, is where they can take your data and sell it on the dark web, right? And that's essentially where we're headed to next. So for sure, it's evolved, and it's not going to get any better. And hence the importance of Cohesity, next generation data management, and all the tools that I've already spoken about.
In terms of your channel engagement in this part of the region, what kind of new initiatives are you working on, either this region or other regions that you are currently present in? Are there any new initiatives that you are helping your channel partners with, say certification programs? Because of you've done a lot of market research. So when you use those market research to better your partner programs or certification programs in place, are there any new initiatives that you're working on right now?
Yeah, Cohesity is a 100% channel-focused business, so the channel is very important to us. There's the Cohesity partner program with the various levels on that, and Cohesity prides itself on enabling our partners to be able to drive this messaging through to our customers as well, and help our customers protect their data. So, being a 100% channel-driven business, we focus a lot on our partners' enablement and getting the same messaging across to our customers to say, we hopefully before you get hit, this is why you want to use Cohesity, and when you get hit, this is how quick we can recover and get your business up and running, and ultimately save you a lot of money. But probably more importantly as well, save your company, in terms of business reputation as well. So yeah, we are very focused on our partner community.